We talk now to a man whose words have taken him to some very interesting corners, including the U of R, where he is a lecturer there. He's known by baseball fans as the author of a wonderful book, Voices of the Game. But you also wrote speeches for one of the presidents, George H.W. Bush. Kurt Smith, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, I appreciate it. It's great to be here and among new and old-time friends in this sense. Yeah. So it's great to be here and to talk about Bush 41, for whom I had the great privilege of writing, and from 1989 through 93 during his presidency, and then heading his volunteer speech staff for 3 years afterward, when I got to know him as a human being in a sense that I hadn't when I was a lowly writer and he was running the free world.
That's what I want to know. When you're a speechwriter, how much play do you have with him? How much you get to see him and get to know sort of the way he speaks?
Yeah, you get to know him quite well. You have to. I mean, there's an old Indian adage that you can't know someone until you walk in their moccasins. Well, I'm not sure that Bush has any moccasins. From Texas, he's got a lot of boots.
Cowboy boots, maybe.
You know, you try to listen to him. You try to follow him. You listen to audio, video, and you get what time you can with him without abusing that privilege. It might be you know, by telephone. It was often so. Sometimes in the Oval Office, talking to him about an important speech preparatory to it. And so you know, you get to know him in such a way that you know, in fact, after the administration ended in 2004, Ronald Reagan died. And Bush had asked me to write his eulogy for National Cathedral in Washington. And I did. And 4 people spoke, including Bush 43 and Margaret Thatcher. And Bush 41's speech was well received. I'm glad to say it beats the alternative. But
yeah, right.
I told my wife, Sarah, beforehand, this is the line that's going to cause him to momentarily break down. And it was.
You knew this.
This is how well I knew him after writing for him for so long.
You knew what words that would make him cry.
Do you remember the line?
Yes, it was a line about an incident after Reagan had been shot. And 2 days after he had nearly been killed by a would-be assassin's bullet, he spilled some water. And Reagan, being Reagan, extraordinarily courteous and kind, got down on all fours on the hospital floor next to his bed because he was worried the nurse would get in trouble. And Bush and some other aides come into the room and they find this man who two days earlier literally had a bullet lodged an inch from his heart, and he's on the floor trying to clean up this water. And in the speech in 2004, the president followed that by saying, "Who could not treasure such a man?" And he broke down on that.
Wow. So, that is a great line.
Yeah.
Politically speaking, a lot of so-called establishment Republicans look at the current field of presidential candidates, look at the Tea Party, and they say to themselves, what happened to the George H.W. Bushes of the party? Do you think that's a fair statement? Do you think the party has shifted?
I think the party has shifted to the right. I think the nation has shifted to the right. Fiscally, we see what happens when someone from the far left attempts to govern. It doesn't work. And, you know, Bush 41, because of his pedigree, he had been born to a prominent New England family. He had gone to Yale. He had then been an oil wildcatter in Texas and had really made his mark. That's where he made his money. And that's where he began his political career. And they say, well, he has to be an elitist. He's the farthest thing from an elitist that you can think of. In the book, I talk about this extraordinary dichotomy and gulf between Bush's background and my background growing up in Caledonia in a lower middle class or middle class family at the time. And what united us was values. Yeah. So he wasn't an elitist in the sense. I think would do very well today.
Yeah. Hey, Kurt, would you mind just sticking around? We'd love to continue this conversation. We just have to get to break right now, hit some headlines, but I'd love to keep talking with you.
You've got the coffee, I've got the time.